Hi, Facebook friends. This is Pat Simasko, your elder law guy, and I'm really, really excited to have with a really special person in my life, Digger Odell. And for those that don't know Digger Odell, and he will absolutely not confirm this, but he is truly, truly a Vietnam war hero. Digger, thanks so much for. So Digger is well known in the Macomb County area, but for those that don't know, what the heck happened to you over there?
Well, I was flying a mission against North Vietnam in October of '67, and dive bomber already, and was shot down.
What kind of jet were you in?
I was in a F-105 Thunder Chief, Mach 2 airplane.
Boy, what year was that in?
October 17th, 1967. On my 17th mission, my bio says 16 miles northeast of Hanoi. That was 17 also.
Oh.
I don't like 17.
No, you don't like that number.
No, if I go to Vegas, I'll never bet on that number. Nope.
How old were you?
I was 33.
Oh, God. And what happened then? You survived the crash.
Yeah, well, I ejected out of the airplane at pretty low altitude, and a village residents there got me and stripped me of all my clothes and everything, and all my belongings, and put me in a hut, and then...
Did you get hurt when you landed?
No, didn't have a scratch. Nope. But they beat me up a little bit. It got so... I was afraid for my life, and I was praying that the military would get there, because I even though I didn't bomb them, but I was still the enemy to them, and they got rather brutal with me, and I thought, well, yeah, wait till the military gets here and I'll be in better hands. And it turned out that wasn't true.
Did you have other aircraft with you in your formation that saw you went down, and they just couldn't get to you in time?
Yeah, we were 20 aircraft in the formation. And I was the front lead, the front four, and I was flying on the right wing of what we call the Strike Force Commander. He leads the whole thing in there. And when I hit the ground, I did transmit to him on one of my radios that I was on the ground, I had no injuries, and I was about to be captured, and broke the antenna off of it so they couldn't use it. But nobody ever heard that transmission.
Oh, no.
And a few days later, they went to my house and told my family, my wife and children, that I was killed.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But then there was a 3-star general down in South Vietnam, son, who was flying out of Tak Ly. I was flying out of Karat, and he went down, and I turned him and was killed in action. He says he went to Congress and the Defense Department, said, how can you declare somebody deceased when you don't have a corpus delicti, you know what I mean? So they changed, a week or two later, they came back and changed it to missing in action. But yeah, they'd already planted the seed, though.
Oh, your wife was just scared to death. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So once you got captured, did you go to the Hanoi Hilton then? Is that?
Yeah, it was initial processing point. That's where you went through about a week of interrogation, torture sessions. It was like threefold. The first was military information. The second part was autobiographical data. I mean, even where you went to school, where did your father work, how much money did your dad make, how much life insurance do you have, all that stuff. And then the third was, pardon me, was the propaganda type. And you could learn to sidetrack them on their questions. They couldn't prove if you were telling the truth or not, but then you got with the professional guy. I found out later, he was educated in Russia and Czechoslovakia.
They spoke English.
Oh, he spoke perfect English, right down to the usage of idioms. And
so how many people were in your cell with you, or what was the cell like?
It was just one big room, and I was always handcuffed, and there were no windows on the window, no screens or anything. So at night, if you did get a couple hours break, the mosquitoes eat you alive.
Oh, God.
Jesus. Your hands are tied behind you, you can't swat them. You tried rolling around to get them off of you, But I'd say that
So you're handcuffed all day in your cell?
Yeah.
Oh my God. When you say the interview, what the hell does that consist of?
Well, that would take you to another little room, and it had a low table with a electric cord hanging down with a light bulb on it, and the interrogator sat across there, and you had to kneel on the concrete, and your hands were tied behind your back. And anytime you didn't answer to what he thought you should have reacted to, then the guard would strike you with a rifle butt or kick you in the kidneys, and that kind of stuff. And they were very brutal. Their methods of torture were rather medieval, but very persuasive.
I bet.
Yeah, and we are taught in the military to abide by the code of conduct, the military code of conduct, which says you will give only name, rank, serial number, date of birth. Period. Well, that didn't work. You either did or you died. One or the other. You're either going to talk to them or you're going to die. One or the other. So, and we never criticized one another how long it took you before you broke. You just. And we did get that changed. After we got back, we said, you got to change that, the military code of conduct. You got to give that person an out somewhere here.
Somewhere, yeah.
So I've changed it to, you will attempt to give only.
Right.
So, but he was a political type, and he was pretty persuasive.
Interrogator.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How'd the guards treat you?
They just beat on you, but for him now, where I got to the point where he said I was going to sign this confession that I was a war criminal, and I wasn't going to do it. And people, oh yeah, you were real brave. No, I was in that frame of mind where you violated the code of conduct. You, in essence, you're a traitor to your company, to your country. So I don't really have anything to lose. If they kill me, I don't have to go back. If I ever do get out of there, I won't have to go back and answer to them for violating that code of conduct.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So when he told me, they always had a pistol in their hand pointing it at you and playing with it, And when I told him, well, you might as well just shoot me because I'm not going to sign it. And he said, yes, you will. And I said, no. And he pointed the gun at me, rather like aimed it at me, but he didn't pull the trigger. I don't even know if it was loaded. I'm sure it was. And then he muttered something in Vietnamese, and the guy struck me. One of the guards you always had at least one guard behind you, and they would, if they muttered something to him or something, or nodded to him, then they would strike you. And the guy struck me a couple times in the base of the skull with a rifle, and I went into an unconscious state.
Oh, no, yeah.
And what had happened, he'd shattered the C4 vertebrae in my neck.
Oh,
hit me with the rifle. Well, at least, I don't know how long I was unconscious, but when I woke up, that interrogator said, political type, picked up his papers, pencil, and a tape recorder, and made a few obscene gestures to me and walked away. And I think he was smart enough, he realized he had inflicted major damage to me.
You broke your back then?
Broke my neck. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep. So,
how did that leave you off then? Like you couldn't walk, or you couldn't?
Yeah, I couldn't use my left leg. It didn't sever the spinal cord. It just put a tremendous trauma onto the spinal cord. And I couldn't use my left hand or arm, and I couldn't use my right hand. And then they put me down in the dungeon of the Hanoi Hilton, like in the basement, with about 3-4 inches of water on the floors.
God. How many months or years were you there for?
Well, I was in the Hanoi Hilton for about 2 weeks. I was total in Vietnam 5.5 years.
In
captivity, yeah.
5.5 years.
Yeah. And all expenses paid.
Oh, yeah, and 3 meals a day. And
yeah.
Did they fold up the little towels on your bed like a goose and a swan?
Well, I'll tell you how good it was. I was shot down to 188, and 5.5 years later, when I came out, I weighed 110. I weighed 110 since I was probably 12 years old.
Oh, my God. So after Hanoi Hilton, did they transfer you to, after you broke your back,
Yeah.
Did they send you to another place?
Well, they sent me to what we kept, the camp right on the outskirts of Hanoi, and they threw me in a cell, and there was a guy in that cell I had known for 10 years. His name was Bob Barnett, and I remember laying on the floor there, and finally they closed the cell door. There was 4 of us in there, 3 other prisoners. And he looked down at me and he said, "What in the world are you doing here?" And I said, "The same thing you are, Bob." But guess what his profession was other than being a fighter pilot?
What?
He majored in school education was physical therapy.
Oh, my God.
Now, what are the odds? They didn't know that.
God was shining down on you.
Oh, yeah. And he worked with me in 6 months. I was walking. And
no kidding.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah. I put him in for the Airman's Medal for his conduct with me. And yeah, I got almost hated him. He wouldn't leave me alone. You know? Just let me lay here.
Get me back to the interrogator.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let.
No.
So then, when you're at the new camp, was it again? Did they still keep you handcuffed all the time, or
no? Only time they would probably handcuff you most of the time would be when they took you out of your cell to go to interrogation.
So they kept the interrogation going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. But it become not as brutal. Okay, you could survive it hopefully, but you take a few beatings, but. I lived with a guy by the name of Leo Forsness. He was a Medal of Honor winner. And they'd take him and to go see these, I don't know what you'd call them, news media people, primarily pro-North Vietnamese type.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would tell him what the questions they're going to ask him, what that guy's going to ask, and your answers you will give. It was all canned. And I've seen him throw him back to the cell because they disfigured him, and now they couldn't use him on film.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So how long were you in the camps then, total? 5 years?
Yeah, well, that camp, I was there till 72.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then we were all brought back into the Hanoi Hilton because they found out we were getting microfiche and little teeny meters so we could read. And these were planted in the candy bars and stuff made at the factory.
Oh, so they were sneaking.
Yeah.
How did your family find out that you were still alive?
Oh, it was about almost a year, I think it was, when I was finally allowed to write a small note for some of those anti-war people that came there, like Jane Fonda, not one of my favorite people, believe me. And they allowed me to write a little 6-line, but I still couldn't move my hand, my fingers right, so the writing was a little scribbly. And so when the Air Force or the Defense Department got this letter through the anti-war movement group, they hired a handwriting expert, and then got a letter that I'd written home prior, and then compared it, and they finally come to the conclusion, yeah.
It was you.
Yep.
As screwed up as it was,
yeah.
It was still you.
They said, yep, that's got to be his handwriting. So,
that had to make your wife feel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then when McCain, wasn't he?
Yep, he was shot down 1 week after I was.
So when you went to the ultimate camp, was he?
I never lived with him.
Did you know him there?
I knew he was there.
Yeah.
Because we had our own communication system, and it wasn't whatever it was that Starlink 17 with that. No. We communicated using what we call a tap code, trying to use the military type code
from cell to cell at nighttime when you're in there.
Or whenever it was clear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you got caught, you paid the penalty. But they never stopped us. So we took the alphabet and made 5 columns of 5 letters. Well, there's 26 letters in the alphabet, so we threw out the letter K. You don't need K. You transmitted C in place, so it'll be obvious. So,
you're right, same.
And we could.
It's like kids now text messaging, right?
Yeah. Only you're tapping on the wall.
Yeah.
And these walls were like 3 feet thick. But we also found out because they gave us a little metal cup, If you could get the guy on the other side to put his cup right where your cup was, even though it's 3 feet apart,
you could hear it.
You could talk verbally through there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. But you'd have to put a towel over your head, because if they heard you, we weren't allowed to talk. We could only whisper. So if they ever heard you talking, you're in deep trouble.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And on the yard, when you walked around the yard, did you see people out in the yard, or you're all so?
No.
So you were for so many years in isolation then?
Yeah, basically.
Oh my God.
And what they let you out to go take a shower out of a well, just cold water, dump it on you. You didn't have any soap or anything, but better than none. And once in a while, somebody somehow would pass you a note. Might tell you who else is there. But once we got into the communication system internally, we knew everybody was in there. In fact, prior to my release, I had memorized, most of us had there, in my little group, we had memorized 479 names. First name if known, last name, and rank. If somebody came to me today and said, "Here, memorize these 400," I'd get out of here. What are you doing? You got nothing else to do.
If you find your address on the way home.
Yeah. It's amazing how. And I think one of the important things that happened during our stay, or initially, especially in the beginning, was that, and I still say it today, that I think we Americans are unique, and we have that extra sense, and that's a sense of humor. Because we didn't have any control over our physical being, but we had control over our mental process. So, by being able to ridicule them, or ridicule one another if you couldn't find anything to, you had to laugh about something.
Right,
I don't care how bad things got. You had to laugh. And I think that really helped. Those that wrote confessions they were war criminals, we never held it against any of them, ever. And those that didn't sign them and didn't talk, more likely didn't make it. And everybody has a different threshold for pain.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You might take 10 hours. That guy might take 2 days. That guy might take a week. But
it's happening
before he finally does it.
Happening.
But it was no other way out.
Right.
Yeah, and we never criticized one another.
Yeah.
Nor do we want to prosecute anybody that did.
Yeah.
No.
How'd you feel when you came home then?
Well, that was a great day. That was a great day. Yeah.
How about the general public? Did they treat you nice?
Oh yeah. It wasn't like the guys coming back during the war. They couldn't even wear
the
uniform out of an airport.
The war was over at that point.
Yeah, that's how we were released, as they withdrew the troops out of the South. Our troops out of South Vietnam. Then they released so many of us. But it's uniqueness of being able to help each other. That's extremely important. And I'll give my life to that guy in the cell, and he's going to give his life for me. That's necessary.
Yeah.
And just so it was. He just accepted that. But
Digger, you are my war hero.
Well, and I don't consider my hero. The heroes are those names sketched on that granite wall in the Vietnam Memorial in Washington. To me, but I'm not, I obviously appreciate that, but I don't look at myself as a hero. But I did what I had to do, and what my government told me I had to do.
Yeah.
Okay? And the military is a dictatorship. You can't have a democracy.
No,
you say, okay,
true.
Take the hill. Well, let's all have a vote here. It don't work that way.
Right, you just do
it. Element of surprise. You got to press right then and do it.
Yeah, you do.
Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Well, I first want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be your lawyer and do your estate planning stuff. I really, really appreciate it. When you first came in, I go, oh my God, I've known you for a long time, and I just was so thankful that you gave me the opportunity. And I just hope that everyone that listen to this interview learn something and know that the heroes are out there, and everyone on the line right now and in the service are heroes, and we really, really appreciate your service.
I do. I got to tell a story, and it's about Jane Fonda. Can I tell it?
Sure.
Okay. She's not one of my favorite people. She brought a lot of hurt and harm to us, and so I tell the story when I'm out speaking, which I've done quite a bit of. Is that they always want to know about Jane Fonda. And I tell them what she did over there. And I just said, matter of fact, I wasn't home very long, and my insurance company called me and said, Digger, we're going to have to raise your car insurance. And I said, what do you mean raise my car insurance? Well, you tend to ricochet off of a parked car once in a while. I said, let me explain this to you, why this happens. Every time I go through an intersection, I'm looking for Jane Fonda.
Oh.
And if she crosses, she's mine.
Okay, when she went over there, exactly what harm caused you guys? What was her?
Well, for at least on a couple of cases I know where you were forced to go see her, and it was all canned, okay? And two different cases I know where the prisoner had a little piece of paper in his hand with names on it, and passed it to her. She knew what it was. And she turned right around, opened her hand, and showed the interrogator, and gave it to the interrogator. And then once that was over, they went on and beat the daylights out of the guy.
No!
And she did films. They show us films of her holding a baby, Vietnamese baby, that we had bombed this hospital. Well, and then she would transmit at night to the troops in the South, tell them to lay down their weapons, that they're wrong and the Vietnamese are right, and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Horrible.
So at the end of that little bit of a story was, I tell everybody, well, if she would have crossed one of those intersections and I ran over and killed her, it would have been justifiable homicide. I wouldn't have got no insurance for her.
Yeah. Well, Digger, thanks so much,
my
buddy.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Hey guys, Facebook friends, I know this isn't really elder law, but I just wanted you to have an opportunity to meet a true hero. And until the next time, thanks for tuning in. If you ever have any questions for Digger or for me, send me an email at samascolaw.com or call the office at 586-468-6793 or an email to elderlawguys.com. See you again. Bye-bye.